Stillness is not sinful.
Welcome to The Discerning Mother, the podcast for Jesus-loving moms who want to tune out the noise and tune into God's design for motherhood. I'm Brigid, a board-certified women's health coach, holistic health practitioner, birth nerd, and homeschooling mom of 5. I help moms to heal their minds and bodies, trust their instincts, and embrace the beauty of the way God created them. Here we talk about birth, hormones, motherhood, faith, and anything else. Let's go.
Alrighty, and welcome back. It is 2 days before Christmas. That's wild. I still have so much to do, and I'm sure that you do as well. So I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this and to really not only listen, but do some of the tools that I'm going to give you in this so that you can really have a very peaceful, calm Christmas. And now you might notice my voice is kind of funny. I got the other colds, and so I am praying that you guys are all staying healthy during this season. Okay, so today I want to talk about how stillness is not sinful. And so a lot of ambitious women really struggle with stillness and just giving themselves permission to be still. And what's beautiful is that Christmas has a way of quieting the world like just enough for us to notice what's happening underneath the surface of our lives. And you know what I mean? Like, there's something between the week of Christmas and New Year's where it just feels like quiet. And it's like one of my favorite weeks. Or at least it's quiet in our household because like we don't really do anything. And it's just beautiful. And the noise around regular life starts to soften. The urgency that we feel starts to like kind of loosen its grip. And that constant forward motion pauses like just long enough for interior discomfort to rise up. And you know what I mean? Like it's going to be, say, Saturday after Christmas and you're like, I have to do something. I've been sitting for 3 days. Now I have to do something. Right? You know exactly what I mean. And this is not because anything is wrong and like you are like thinking that you have to do something, but it's because we are no longer distracted from ourselves. So again, there's this time around this season where God allows us to really kind of sit and be still. And we don't always like it because then we have to really face ourselves. And for many women, this slowing down does not immediately feel peaceful. It feels really unsettling. There's subtle anxiety that creeps in. When the calendar starts to open up, maybe the demands thin out, there's a sense that we should be like using this time more wisely, like planning more intentionally, making sure that our kids always have something to do, making sure that we are always having something to do, preparing ourselves for what comes next. And stillness can feel kind of indulgent and even irresponsible, as though rest must be justified by productivity and earned, right? Like if you were the person who would, if you were little or even nowadays, if you're laying on the couch and you're like, oh, I just get a few minutes to lay on the couch. And then you hear the door open and you immediately have to like jump up out of bed or off the couch. Because if somebody comes in and says to you like, why are you on the couch? Why are you not doing something? Why? Right? And I struggle with this still too. And I struggle with not only resting, but also judging others who do rest. And that's something that I personally am working on. And I know if you're listening to this, you are probably right there with me. Somewhere along the way, many of us absorbed a quiet lie, especially those of us who carry a lot of responsibility for others. And that lie is that stillness is sinful. Or at the very least, I guess, like suspicious. And we may not say it explicitly, but we live as though movement is proof of faithfulness, exhaustion is evidence of virtue, and productivity is a sign of worthiness and obedience. And when we are not striving, when we're not constantly trying to improve ourselves, when we're not trying to fix things, we often feel uneasy, as though God is like waiting for us to do more before he can act. We're waiting like that we are trying to get others to see that we are worthy because we're working so hard. But around this Christmas season, it tells a different story, because God could have entered the world in power, in efficiency, and clarity. And again, he chose to arrive through like patience and darkness and hiddenness. And he chose 9 months of quiet formation in the womb of Mary, a young woman who was living an ordinary life, carrying something extraordinary without recognition or explanation. And even then, he chose a birth that was small and unnoticed and like entirely unoptimized by the standards of the world, even back then. And if stillness were sinful, the incarnation would not look like this, because Mary does not rush through what God put on her as her calling. Like Joseph does not try to control the outcome. yes, he tries to find her a place to stay, but then ultimately when the only place is in a stable, that's what they take, right? And God took his time, and that choice reveals something really essential about the way that he works in the world and in all of us, because even the word stillness tells a story that we need to pay attention to, okay? So if you've listened to this podcast, you know that I love the roots of words. So etymology, I don't know, and I can never say this word. Okay, whatever. Etymologic. Okay, so etymologically, stillness comes from the word still, S-T-I-L-L-E, which is an Old English word, which means calm, quiet, motionless, or at rest. But it also comes from a root that implies steadiness and order rather than absence or inactivity. So stillness was never meant to mean like empty or idle. It meant like settled, stable, in place, like firm. And to be still was not to do nothing, but to be anchored, to be undisturbed, to be present for long enough for something to occur. Okay? And so this matters because many of us associate stillness with stagnation or laziness, when in reality, stillness has been about readiness and formation. It's the state required for listening, receiving, for allowing something to take shape. And almost, if you're having trouble with this, almost think of it like a big ship or a yacht, where when you take the yacht, and I don't know that much about boats, but I know a little bit, and when you take the yacht or the big ship and you put the anchor into the ground, or not, I guess, into the water, and it is anchoring the ship in place. That ship is still. Obviously, I'm extrapolating a little bit. It's moving a little bit, but you know what I mean. It's still. And so we would never say like that ship doesn't have a place. Like that ship is like, why is it there, right? Like, no, the ship is still working. There's still probably people on board. It's still like ready to do whatever you need it to do. But right now, it's just still. And then at a moment's notice, the captain can say, pull up the anchor, and they'd be off. And that's the same with us, where even when we are still, we're still doing something, right? Like God's still working on us. He's still doing things in the background. And then at a moment's notice, whenever you are needed, you can pop up and you can do what you need to do. And so this Christmas, I really want you to hear this, where Christmas is not a sentimental season, but it truly is like a masterclass almost, because everything God does is just beautiful in how God forms what will one day bear fruit. And that first coming of Christ teaches us that God often works beneath the surface, in silence, which is so frustrating sometimes, in obscurity, in waiting, and long before anything changes. And so for women who carry responsibility, especially mothers, leaders, builders, that steadiness can feel risky because so much depends on them. And slowing down can feel like letting something like fall off your plate or slip. Even when your body and your soul are like pleading for rest, like you're tired, you're sick, like all these things. Yet physiologically, the body heals in safety and not when there's pressure. The same thing's true with spiritual formation. Like if you're like, where is God right now? I can't hear him. Well, that happens when we stop grasping for control long enough to be changed. And stillness is not the absence of faith or action. It's often the condition that's required for integration. And it's where the nervous system can finally relax and where that emotional truth can like actually take hold in your body. Your identity is strengthened through the trust that you have in Jesus, and it's where God really quietly, again kind of annoyingly, but quietly, kind of rearranges our hearts and has us soften, right? And so this is why so many women feel stuck when they refuse to be still, because what feels like stagnation is often preparation, and that preparation has been interrupted too soon. So, as we are here at Christmas and we look toward 2026, this truth becomes even more important, that many women are longing for clarity about like what the year ahead is going to bring, for direction, for vision, for momentum, for clarity. But again, that clarity does not precede peace. Peace has to come first, and you cannot build a steady future on a dysregulated body or a fearful heart, and you cannot rush the rest that you need and expect calm to just like appear simply because the calendar changes, or it's a new year, or you have these new goals. God doesn't work that way. He doesn't rush his work. He's not going to rush you into like the next year and you'll just find yourself like a wizard that's like suddenly good at resting, right? Like if you find yourself drawn toward that quiet right now, just know that that's wisdom. that God has placed on your heart. And if you feel resistance to slowing down, it's just an invitation to notice what stillness brings up in you and what might need waiting to be healed or reordered. So as Christmas unfolds, just allow yourself to really reflect on where have you equated rest with failure, with movement, with worth, and where are you afraid to stop and just chill, quite honestly, even if it's just for like a few minutes. Like, what might God be forming in you right now that requires quiet rather than effort? And like, you don't need to fix anything yet. Like, you don't need to force anything or create a plan. I know it's easier to do that, but this Christmas, just do the quiet work, because stillness is not sinful. It's often where God does his most faithful work. So just sit with that. Stillness is not sinful. And if you desire support in learning how to live this way, not just during this season, but as you step into the year ahead, I would be honored to walk with you. You can find out more in the information below. I have my one-on-one for Restored by Grace is totally booked up, but I have a wait list that you can jump on if you're interested. I do have a couple of spots left in the collective, which is the group experience of Restored by Grace, and then you're always welcome to join us inside of the Dwelling Place, the off-social media community for mothers who have been changed by birth, where we have monthly expert calls, we have monthly sister circles, we have a really great forum where you can ask questions and chat with each other. So, until then, I really pray that you can rest without feeling guilty, that you can just be okay laying on the couch reading a book while the kids play around you, and there's maybe a mess in the kitchen, and just know that taking 20 minutes to rest is not going to derail your entire life, okay? And remember that God is not finished, and he is never in a hurry. All right, Merry Christmas.